Hi everyone, it's me, Mrs. A. Prasanna, Assistant Professor of Chemistry, V.V.Vanniaperumal College for Women, Virudhunagar. In this video, we are going to discuss the definition of forensic science and history of forensic science. Let us see the definition of forensic science. It is the application of science to matters of criminal and civil law. It's an applied science which is multidisciplinary and multidimensional in nature. There are various analytical methods which may be used to find out the chemical changes that occur during any incident, and in this way it helps in the reconstruction of crime scene. Forensic science meets the needs of both the scientific and legal communities by innovation in its research, practice, and presentation. It acts as armed force in the pursuit of justice. It gives voice as the silent witness of physical evidence. It plays a critical role in the administration of justice, not only aids in the investigation and prosecution of crimes but also assists in meeting at the ends of justice. Forensic science is primarily associated with crime and crime scene investigation. However, have you ever wondered what the history of forensic science is? How did it start? When were forensic techniques first used? Who were the early forensic scientists? What comes to your mind when you hear the word forensic investigators? Yes, instantly you start picturizing high-tech computers, UV lights, and criminal labs furnished with high-tech equipments. Well, that is the image that the modern-day crime shows have created of a forensic investigator. Are you interested to know the importance of forensic science over the ages? If yes is your answer, just follow my upcoming slides. Interestingly, the importance of forensic science dates back to some of the ancient civilization. The earliest application of forensic science dates back to the ancient Greek and Roman societies. Those civilizations made significant contribution to the field of medicine, especially pharmacology. Their research on the production, use, and symptoms of toxins made the study of their use in past murders possible. Are you familiar with the word mummification? Did you know that the Egyptian civilization back in 3000 BC performed the first instance of an autopsy? Interestingly, the first officially recorded autopsy was performed way back in 44 BC. This was when a Roman physician, Antichius, examined the slain body of Roman politician and general Julius Caesar. The autopsy revealed that, though stabbed 23 times, his death actually resulted from one wound through his chest. Early in the 1st century AD, a Roman orator and jurist Quintilian used basic forensics to acquit an innocent. The Roman model forms the foundation of the modern day court and legal system. Thus, the application of scientific principles in the examination of evidence in ancient Rome is not surprising. However, with the fall of the Roman Empire in the West, the applications of forensic science in criminal justice stagnated over the next millennium. Let me tell about the origin of pathology. Have you ever wondered what was the very first guide to pathology? The book Chuan Lu, that means the washing away of wrongs, that is published in the 13th century in China by Songqi. Shi Yuanlu is the first written testimony of the use of medicine and entomology to solve crimes. This book is one of the earliest available literature to help to determine the cause of death. This book explained how to distinguish an accidental death from the murder by examining the weapon used to cause death. It threw light upon the important topics such as how to preserve evidence during the examination process, how to make an antiseptic, how to extract a hidden injury from dead bodies and bones, how to calculate the time of death based on the weather and insects, and how to wash a dead body for examination. One of Songxi's account in his book talks about the basic methods used to crack a murder case. First, the investigator tested various blades on an animal carcass and compared the wound to the actual one. This helped him deduce that the weapon used to commit the murder was a sickle. Next, he asked every resident of the crime area to bring their sickles to one location. Eventually, the murderer confessed when the smell of blood caused flies to gather on his sickle. The book also provided methods and logic to estimate if a death resulted from suicide, accident, or murder. Let us see the origin of forensic ballistics, the foundation of forensic ballistics. He's a Scotland scientist. It's Lord Henry Hoddard. Became the first in 1835 to connect a bullet to a murder weapon using physical analysis. Gradually, in the 1920s, bullet examination became more precise when American physician Calvin Goddard created the comparison microscope. This helped in drawing a crucial relationship between bullets and the shell casings from which they were fired. Later in the 1970s, scientists at the Aerospace Corporation, California, developed the method of detecting gunshot residue using scanning electron microscopes. Let me tell the origin of forensic toxicology. Look at this scientist. He is a Swedish chemist called Wilhelm Scheele. He is the first one who developed a chemical test to detect arsenic in corpses in 1773. His work was further elaborated by a German chemist, Valentin Rose, in 1806 to detect poison in stomach valves. In 1836, Scottish chemist James Mars did the first application of this forensic science technique. This test was actually used successfully in a murder trial at that time. Almost a century later, scientist Carl Landsteiner received the Nobel Prize in 1930 for his work on blood groups. He was the first one to classify human blood into various groups. This later went on to give significant leads during criminal investigations from the examination of blood. The mid-1990s saw the development of other tests to examine saliva, semen, sweat, and other body fluids. Let me conclude with the major highlights in the history of forensic science till the 20th century. The following points are the highlights. In 18th century, that is, questioned document analysis was first recorded. Test developed for the forensic analysis of the presence of blood. A bullet comparison used for the first time to convict a murderer. Toxicology used in a jury trial. Hemin crystals used for the development of the first crystal test for hemoglobin. A possible test for blood was first developed. Photography used for the first time for the identification of criminals and documentation of evidence and crime scenes. The use of fingerprint analysis to solve a crime was first developed. Development of the first microscope with the comparison bridge. In the beginning of the 19th century, the use of comparison microscope for bullet comparison became popular. The development of the absorption inhibition ABO blood typing technique. The invention of the first interference contrast microscope by Dutch physicist Fritz Zernike in 1935. Development of the hemiluminescent reagent luminol for the presumptive test for blood. Voice print identification was first studied. The invention of the breath analyzer for field sobriety test. Use of heated headspace sampling technique for collecting air-on evidence. Development of the scanning electron microscope with the electron dispersive X-ray technology. The polymorphic nature of red cells first identified. Enactment of the federal rules of evidence. Gas chromatograph and the mass spectrometer were being used for forensic analysis. The polymerase chain reaction technique developed for clinical and forensic applications. DNA profiling gained increasing popularity. Enactment of the DNA data bank legislation in 1994. These are all the major highlights in the history of forensic science during 18th and 19th century. In the early 20th century, there was a boom in the development of newer forensic techniques for examining the evidence. This led to law enforcement agencies realizing the requirement of special forensic investigator teams for evidence gathering and analysis. In this video, we have gone through the definition of forensic science and the history of forensic science. Let us see in the next video. Thank you.